I'm Dan Ackerman, and we are here taking a look at the Toshiba Satellite P755D. Now, this is a $700 laptop that's got a 15-inch screen, it's got a Blu-ray drive, and it's even got some discrete graphics. That sounds pretty good, right? There's got to be some kind of catch. Of course there is. The catch is that instead of using one of Intel's Core i3 or Core i5 CPUs, whether the older Sandy Bridge versions or the newer Ivy Bridge versions, this actually has the AMD quad-core A8 processor. They don't even call it a CPU, they call it an APU for, I think, Accelerated Processing Unit, which just means that it's the CPU and the graphics chip mashed up together, and that's what AMD can do because they make both the CPUs and the graphics chips, unlike, let's say, Intel, who just makes the CPUs and have their own, low-level integrated graphics. That's not quite the same thing. So that's basically what you're trading down to here, getting the AMD chip instead of the Intel one, and it's kind of a thick, bulky plastic body that's not going to impress anybody at the coffee shop. Now, for basic web surfing and going on Facebook and sending emails, the AMD CPU is fine, but in our performance test, it wasn't as fast as, let's say, a comparable mid-level Intel Core i5. It was more like the super low-level Intel Core i3, even though the A8 is pretty much the high end of AMD's line. So that's really where you pay the price for spending less on this particular model. The graphics were actually pretty good. You could play some mainstream games at the kind of medium or lower settings, a lot better than you could if you got an Intel CPU with just the basic integrated Intel HD 3000 graphics. But we've been testing the next generation of that from Intel, the HD 4000, and the scores there are actually kind of similar, so the advantage you're going to get from this AMD APU may disappear in kind of these mid-price systems going into the latter half of 2012. That said, if you got $700 to spend and you want a big 15-inch laptop with a separate number pad and a Blu-ray drive, this is not a terrible choice overall, but you can trade up to an Intel Core i5 if you skip some of those other extras for maybe about $100 less. So really tough to see a lot of the value here. I'm Dan Ackerman, and that is the Toshiba Satellite P755D.